Happy Friday, everyone, and welcome to Live Weather Impact. I'm meteorologist Brittany Van Vorhees here on WCNC+. It has been quite a week. We've had a lot of stuff going on across the Charlotte area, but here's the good news. The weekend is almost here, and we have a pretty good weekend set up for you. So let's talk about tomorrow morning, because some areas across the Charlotte metro are going to be experiencing some patchy frost. Now, here's a good rule of thumb. If you had frost this morning or you were under a frost advisory, you should expect that you are again tonight. I don't anticipate it'll be quite as cool, but if you saw frost last night, it's a good chance that you'll see it just based on the current pattern and lighter winds. Now, mild afternoons, cool nights heading into most days of the weekend. And then we'll be looking forward to early next week for some big changes on the way. First things first, frost advisory in effect for Caldwell County, Burke County, Alexander, Iredell, Rowan, Stanley, Catawba, and Lincoln counties. Now, of course, a lot of this expands over toward the Greensboro area and Raleigh-Durham. And essentially, this means that temperatures are going to be chilly enough that there's a small chance that we'll see some patchy frost. Now, there is a reason why the mountains are not under a frost advisory, but we are going to talk more about that coming up with Tim Buckley when we join him at 6:40. So here are the overnight low temperatures. Low to mid 40s across most of the Piedmont, so that's pretty much I-40 and south. Upper 30s for the foothills and around the freezing mark for the mountains. So good idea if you're in those mountain communities also to cover up any sensitive vegetation or bring it inside if you can. Big reason why I don't anticipate it will be as cold tonight is because of a little bit of cloud cover. You can very obviously see there streaming in from the west. We eventually are going to see more clouds building in by Sunday, so a pretty cloudy Panthers game on Sunday, but really no other weather-related issues expected. An approaching storm system will eventually bring us a small chance of rain by late Sunday, but this will be primarily impacting us on Monday and then through Tuesday morning. So I am leaving in that small little spritz there because what happens if I put 0% and then you guys get a shower at 7 o'clock? You're going to be upset with me for not giving you a heads up. So that's why I'm leaving that in there. As we go through Futurecast through Saturday afternoon, lots of sunshine. Here's that very obvious change, though, heading into Sunday. I do think we'll see some patchy fog likely in the morning, just with so much widespread cloud cover. And then there's that tiny little spritz there Sunday night before more showers moving in by Monday. Now, will it rain all day Monday? No, but will it almost feel like it rained all day Monday? Likely yes. Think about your classic rainy, chilly, cold, drizzly day, and that's what Monday is going to see. However, it is not going to be a widespread risk day, right? So we're kind of toying around with the idea of, instead of going 0 to 100 when it comes to our weather alert days, kind of putting that place in the middle, right? Where it's nuisance weather, it's impactful weather, but it's not necessarily dangerous. I think that's going to be Monday. It will be a nuisance because nobody likes to drive morning or afternoon commute when there's rain, and it will be annoying because who wants to, have to cover up for a drizzle, right, when you're just getting out of your car trying to go to the grocery store. But we need the rain. So again, there's positives and I guess negatives to pretty much everything when it comes to the weather. But with Monday, I'm cautiously optimistic that we will experience accumulation for everyone. Right now, I'm anticipating the Piedmont to get about a half of an inch to probably an inch at a maximum. Mountain communities around 1 to 2. Good news is with rainfall totals of that magnitude, we will not be under a significant risk for flooding, which is always good news. So the wind mainly Monday through Tuesday morning. Again, half of an inch to 2.5 inches. I think 2.5 is really stretching it, but there are some areas in the mountains that certainly could get that closer to the Tennessee border. Rain jackets, rain gear, and just be prepared for the fact that it is not just going to be rainy, but also chilly and gross as well. A tropical storm, Melissa. This is the update, of course, on the tropics. Still a tropical storm, but very close to hurricane strength as of the latest advisory. We've talked about it for days now. I know I wasn't with you guys, but I know that Tim and Brad have been talking about it for days now. Melissa is going to be a big impact for the island of Jamaica. It has already caused some pretty significant surf and flooding conditions for the coast there, the southern coast of Haiti, as well as the Dominican Republic. Right now, the National Hurricane Center's track does have it getting close to, if not making landfall in Jamaica on Monday as a Category 4 hurricane, which would be devastating for those areas, not just because of the rain, but because of the wind and the storm surge, and then eventually moving over eastern Cuba, and then eventually toward the Turks and Caicos Islands and the Bahamas by Wednesday as a Category 2 hurricane. Now, I think that when we look at these rainfall totals, I do want you to keep in mind that this is a forecast model, but many forecast models underdid the rainfall that we got from Hurricane Helene, so just please keep that in mind. Right now, the latest model data is showing 20 to 25 inches of rain for Kingston, Jamaica, and about 15 to 20 on the eastern side of the island of Cuba. Now, here's the thing. When we think about these rainfall totals, I want folks here in the Carolinas to think about Hurricane Helene. We had a predecessor rain event that brought us rain for days beforehand and even severe weather. And then the highest rainfall total in Busick, North Carolina was 30 inches from essentially the time that the predecessor rain event happened to the time it was over after Hurricane Helene. So if these areas have already seen rain so far this week, so they're kind of having, I guess, a predecessor rain event, you could say, of their own, on top of that 15 to 20 inches of rain. So again, devastating, catastrophic, certainly going to be some words that we'll be using with that. So please keep those folks in your thoughts and prayers. And if you have friends or family who live in those areas, again, eastern Cuba, coastal Haiti, the Dominican Republic, but especially Jamaica and eastern Cuba, please make sure that they're preparing accordingly and heeding those evacuation orders, things of that nature, if any of those are issued by their governments. Here's the Jerry Hunt Supercenter 7-day forecast. I'll leave you with this before we take off for a 2-minute break. You can see partly cloudy tomorrow, gorgeous weather. The checkers will be home again. I believe puck drops at 6 o'clock, but I'll double check that before our next weather. Don't quote me on it. Panthers game looks pretty good. We'll see more cloud cover increasing. Again, we are going to keep you weather alert, weather aware, I guess, for that weather impact day on Monday. Again, this is the idea of that playing around with that place in between. It's not necessarily an alert day because it's not severe, no flooding risk, but definitely going to be annoying when you see that rain. And then rain chances will taper off by the end of the week. I will also point out to you that Halloween is going to be pretty chilly. You can't see it there because of the lower third, but our normal highs and lows, there you go, thanks, Jeb. Our average high is 71 for this time of year, average low is 47, so we're looking at 5 to 10 degrees below that. So when you think about prepping the kids for their Halloween costumes, you may want to anticipate having a jacket with that. So sorry, parents, I know you're probably going to have to be wrangling some of those kids.